Welcome to Paw Prints on the Mountain. I'm Tommy Boy with White Mountain Radio. My co-host, Dina Pace, with the Humane Society of the White Mountains. How we doing?
We're good. How are you, Tommy?
Doing all right. So this is our second show, and on the second show, we thought we'd loosen things up a little bit, do things a little bit different.
Absolutely.
Before this thing gels completely, we'll see which format we like the most. We've got a couple special guests today.
We do have a couple special guests, don't we?
It was special guest number one,
Lucy.
taking a nap, timing out.
This is Lucy.
Is this your dog, actually, or one from the shelter?
Both. We adopted her. We foster, failed, and adopted her.
Okay. Now, I noticed she's got the 3 legs.
Yeah.
Was she born that way, or did that happen?
No, she came into us pretty badly hurt. We're assuming she was run over by a car,
Okay.
at least once. Her leg was pretty damaged. Her pelvis was broke, and obviously her tail too. And you'll see it when she gets up, and she will get up eventually.
Heard you tell some stories. You would not know she's a
No.
3-legged dog if you saw her running around.
That is correct.
She doesn't know.
No, she doesn't know. She runs as fast as any of the other dogs you'll ever see. She's a hound mix, so her nose is always to the ground and always moving. So
One of the things we've talked about on the weekly radio show is the employees. Sometimes the animals that come to them, and sometimes you can't take them all home.
no, unfortunately you can't.
So how did this happen?
So what happened was our certified vet tech that works in our spay and neuter clinic, our PAWS clinic, Lori was fostering her after her amputation. We tried to fix her leg and it didn't work.
Right.
And so she had to go under an amputation. And at the same time she was amputated, then she also had a cyst or some kind of a lump on her front paw. So that was removed. So she had quite a few surgeries, and she was spayed. So she had quite a few surgeries. So Lori does medical foster for us to get them through the first so many days and stuff. And she had her for quite a while. And she needed a weekend to do her search and rescue stuff, so she asked if I knew anyone that could foster. So I talked to Roy, my husband, and he goes, well, we'll take her for the weekend.
Right.
She instantly picked my husband.
It's a long weekend.
It was a long weekend. She never went back again. So other than for checkups and stuff. So yeah, she's been with us. We've had her about 2 years now, and she was 5 when we got her.
So you have other animals.
Yes.
How did those come to be? Are they all from the shelter as well?
One is from the shelter, and one is from my son, who's an over-the-road truck driver. So
Sure.
we just kind of inherited it while he's gone.
So, with 3 dogs, it's true that you're not just an employee. You actually are an animal lover.
I've been an animal lover my whole life.
That starts when, like, my daughter likes horses and that. At a very young age, you either become or not so much.
Right. I'm from Iowa originally, and I was raised on farms. So I fell in love with piglets. I had a horse my whole life. Cows, I milked cows. So I've always loved all animals, and I believe that they have a really special soul.
As we get further into the show, we'll talk about when someone goes down to adopt a dog and to keep an open mind, or any animal, because sometimes the animals call out to you.
That is so true. And we just experienced something like this yesterday when we were doing some time with some special people that had arranged to come and spend time at the shelter with us. Mm-hmm. And they fell in love with one of the dogs we were letting them play with and stuff, and did an adoption application on that dog.
Well, I'm really glad Lucy is as mellow as she is, because I had envisioned barking and barking and barking.
No, not this time.
Okay. Lucy, if it's all right, we're going to move on into events. We want to recap Arizona Gives. That just recapped this last month. How did you guys do?
So we actually did better than we thought. We ended up winning some extra prize money. We won $1,500 extra for having the most pre-scheduled donations in a mid-sized group. And then we won what turns out to be $2,500 for having the second most donations in a rural area. So we're right about $27,000.
That's nice.
That's very nice.
That'll go a long way.
It will, but when it cost our shelter $692 a day last year to keep our organization open, every dollar helps, every dollar.
Okay, so I know it seems a little ways off, but your big, monstrous event is Happy Tails.
Oh my goodness, yes it is.
Starting to prepare for that already?
We already are working on it, yes. We've already got a couple of good bigger donations.
Right.
And so yeah, we are working on it.
Business owners, beware. Phones are going to ring.
Yes, and volunteers.
Absolutely.
And so our Happy Tails is going to be August 25th at Charlie Clerk's at the Orchards again from 11 to 5.
So I'm a business owner. What might happen if you're on the other end of the phone? You'll be
Well,
telling me
you
give.
probably won't get a phone call. You'll probably get a volunteer in to see you asking for a donation. Because what people need to know is that we have a live auction, a silent auction, blitz auctions, raffle baskets, and everything is donated that is there that day. So 100% of all that comes right back to the shelter.
One of the things I like about it, somebody gives, they donate an item, they get really good coverage. There's the flyer, there's
They
the
do.
on stage.
And in the newspaper also, and we'll talk about some of them here, as we get going on it. We definitely give good coverage. We believe that our local businesses help us so much that we want to be able to give back to them too, and have our supporters shop at the places that support us.
Now, on a weekly basis, you do something as well at PetSense.
We do. We do adoptions down there every Saturday in the wintertime and every Friday and Saturday coming up in the summer. And that's all with volunteers. And then our volunteers take the dogs down to be adopted. And our cats are down there all the time for adoption.
One of the things people may not realize is what a day in the life looks like and what it is that you guys accomplish at the Humane Society.
Yes.
So we have the next segment coming up. We'll have Debbie come on, and she'll actually roll through, and you guys will actually talk about some of the things that go on at the Humane Society we may not realize.
Yeah, a lot of people don't realize, and what's always amazing is when we have to put on a new staff member, and by the end of the day, but their second day they're going, my Lord, I had no idea this much work was involved in this, and we're a lot bigger than what people realize.
We come back, we'll have our second guest on the show. Lucy's tapped out. Debbie will be on next. Welcome back to Paw Prints on the Mountain. Our first special guest, Lucy, has decided to come over for a pet.
She has. She loves pets.
Nice. Dina, we have another special guest. Do you want to introduce her?
I do. This is Debbie Torbett. She's our shelter manager.
Shelter manager. I bet a lot of things go on at the shelter that we're not aware of. Let's go through some of like a day in the life.
So I start my day every day at 7 o'clock, and with Dina, we start feeding. So normally we're always full. From whatever reason, stray dogs, owner surrenders, we're normally always full. So on average, we'll usually feed anywhere between 45 and 55 dogs every day.
That's a number of people I'm sure are not aware of.
Right. Because on our adoption kennels, there's only 21 kennels that the customers are able to see.
Got it.
So we have the rest of the kennels are in our stray holding areas.
So is it like an animal works its way through the process?
Yes.
With someone
So
that's been there longer? I mean, how does that work?
so if we have a stray come in and it does not have any kind of identification, no ID tags, microchip, anything like that, then by law we have to hold those for 72 business hours.
Okay.
If they do have identification, then we have to hold those for 120 business hours, which is 5 days. So
Which
and-
we make every effort to reunite
yes,
them.
so we try to contact the microchip company, or if it just has a rabies tag, we'll call the vet clinic where it was given and try to get their information and try to call them. But if no one comes forward, then we have to hold them for that 120 hours before we can put them through their behavioral assessment.
Right.
And then able to go on the adoption line.
What are we trying to accomplish in the behavioral assessment?
So we just want to make sure that they're going to be not aggressive with people.
Right.
We'll test them with cats. We will test them with food to see if they have any kind of food aggression or anything like that.
The more you know, the more you can tell someone who might be ready to adopt.
Correct.
Okay.
So we'll be able to tell, because we do kind of like pull on their ears or pull on their tail a little bit to see how they're going to react with kids and stuff. Because we don't want to send an animal into a home where it could be a problem. So we want to find the best home possible for each animal. and we don't want them to have to come back on something that we could have prevented in the first place.
Sure. When you guys come on and do the weekly show with me on the radio, you have good information on the website about what the dog's prone to do and prone not to do. How do you know if he's a runner or he or she is a runner? How do you assess that?
So a lot of times, like if we have a dog come in, we assess them every single day. So we'll be able to tell, oh, so-and-so is a fence climber, or this one's a fence jumper, or...
It's gone. How did you get out?
We've had that happen. So we've come to work and there's been dogs missing for whatever reason. Not lately. We've redone our kennel situation so they're not outside during the summer. We have everybody come inside. But if we are over full, sometimes they do have to stay outside.
Sure.
And on those instances, we have come in and dog's been gone. We've had cats slip the latch, and I've had to find them in the stray cat area.
Wow.
That actually just happened to me yesterday. And
Escape artists.
yes, so the staff from yesterday, I'm like, where's the cat? Oh, we don't know.
Right.
I'm like, okay, I'll find it. And it was hiding, so.
I would imagine it's really important to give as much accurate information as you can. Doesn't like cats, doesn't like kids.
Correct.
And so that behavior assessment's a good way to accomplish that. Let's talk about the cleaning and the feeding, and a lot more goes into that than I realized.
And the vaccinations and the health checks and all that.
So we have our staff come in at 8 o'clock, and we have a morning meeting, go over everything that we need to for the day, and then everybody gets dispersed into their different, we'll call them sections.
Okay.
Because we call each different area a section. So then they'll start by pulling all their food and water, bowls and blankets, toys, everything like that. Everybody gets fresh bowls and bedding and everything every single day.
Really?
So our washer is running 8 hours a day. And then we put down a cleaning solution and scrub all of the kennels. And then we have to rinse that solution off.
Sure.
And then we come back with a squeegee that, all the water out, and then we have to turn on our exhaust fan, which sucks all the moisture out of the air. So it dries a lot faster. We do have to towel dry as well, and that because we have to have our areas open by 10:30.
So Dina had mentioned sometimes people come with that whole, I didn't realize all that went into it. So that's probably somebody who's going home after the second day and rethinking. Someone probably hits the ground running and just loves the whole thing, and animal lovers. Let's talk about some people who have came through and just knocked it out of the park.
We do have most of our staff now are very good. Everyone loves coming to work every day. They don't have any complaints at all. We also walk all of our dogs every day, so that gives them time to bond with the dogs that are in their section. And normally we rotate sections every day, so they're not only bonding with a certain dog section every week, they're bonding with all these other dogs in these different sections.
So I heard Cletus often, because our radio station is not too far from your shelter. Who's the next superstar besides Cletus? Who are we going to be hearing next?
Well, he just got adopted.
Yeah,
Cato.
we had a husky named Cato, and we have exercise yards that the dogs can go out and play in every day.
Right.
So we would put him out there, and Dina come flying out of our office a couple times because she thought that the dog was getting hurt. And we're like, no, that's just Cato. He's out there howling and screaming. I mean, he sounded like he was getting hurt, but he was just out there.
Drama King.
Yeah, yeah, drama king. That's it. Yeah.
So, and then when an animal comes in, we do vaccinations on intake, and that's not only to protect that animal, that's to protect all of our animals that we have already. So they get a vaccination, wormer, they get a weight check, we check their gums, their dehydration, we check everything because we want to make sure we know exactly what's going on with them right when they come in.
It's Paw Prints on the Mountain. We're visiting with Dina Pace and Debbie, the shelter manager. You're the director?
Yes.
We come back, let's talk about someone that's looking to adopt and what some of the questions they might be asked and some of the stuff that you guys are looking for. Meet them up with the right animal. It's Paw Prints on the Mountain. Welcome back to Paw Prints on the Mountain. In the last segment, we talked about some of the day in the life behind the scenes at the shelter. Well, right off the bat, let's talk about what you might ask someone who comes in to adopt to make sure you put them with the right animal. Dina?
Well, that's always our goal because, like Debbie had just mentioned, we want to make sure we get the right fit so that the animal doesn't have to come back.
Right.
We've watched that happen before, and it's no fault of the animals or the adopter. Sometimes it's just not the right match. So we always like to kind of ask a few questions like, what is your lifestyle like?
Right.
Are you real active? Are you more sedentary? What do you want to find in a pet?
Sure. Maybe if you're doing 50-hour weeks, maybe you don't want a runner. Maybe you don't want a real energetic dog.
Right. And you're probably not going to want a puppy if you're working 50 hours a week.
Sure.
Deb, what can you think of some of the other questions that are good questions for us that we do ask?
If there's kids in the home, we want to make sure that the right animal is going to be a match for the kids as well. And we always ask the adopters to bring the entire family over to meet the dog or cat.
So there's a little meet and greet type thing.
Yes, so we have actually several meet and greet areas. We have our adoption room, and then we also have our green grass area, which is outside.
Got it.
So it kind of feels like an actual yard at a house.
Sure. So if you took that time to evaluate the dog, then you might want to take the time to evaluate the family they're going to go to as well. And so make sure it's a good match.
Right.
And we always talk about make sure they have an open mind, because we'll talk about the pet of the week on the radio show. But when they come down, there's this thing that happens often.
It does. How many times do we see that happen, Debbie? They'll come in looking maybe for a specific animal. And if you come in open, or a lot of times these are the ones I really love, is when they're not looking for anything specific, they're just looking.
Right.
And so they have nothing in mind. And an animal will actually pick them. And there's just like almost an instant bond with them.
It's pretty cool because you wouldn't expect it. I mean, you would expect it, and I'm getting it. But
Yeah.
the average person going in there might not expect
Yeah.
it.
Say like Lucy, when she first came to us, we actually at the shelter had named her Rosie.
Relax, Lucy.
And there was just something about her. You guys have probably heard me talk over and over on the radio and here on the TV show about the soul, the eyes, and they'll just reach it right into your soul and grab you. And she had those eyes. And I think everyone at the shelter instantly fell in love with her, not only because she was injured, just her whole disposition. She was just, there was something about her. So.
Well, yeah, the different animals that you see, you would imagine that's going to happen sometime. Someone's going to take me home.
Yeah,
You
exactly.
can't take them all home.
No, you can't. You just can't take them all home. So what we do, realizing that we can't take them all home, is we find them the best home we can.
That makes sense.
And we take good care of them, and they know how loved they are with us.
Yes.
Until we find them that home.
So in the first segment, we talked about some of your fundraising capabilities, your ongoing fundraiser for those who do not know the Doghouse Thrift Store.
Yeah, so the Doghouse Thrift Store is actually our everyday income, and any money spent there, 100% of those proceeds come right back to the shelter every day. This is one of the items that, like this love seat that we got there, for our stage here. They have a little bit of everything there. We're getting ready actually to start our summer hours, which are Monday through Saturday from 10 to 5. We accept donations, but we do ask that you have the donations to us by 4:30 so we can process them and get them in the back door and stuff. Please don't leave them when we're not there.
Yeah, I was bringing some stuff there on the way here, and one of the things I noticed, there's cameras and there's signage, and that's really well taken care of. You're keeping an eye on what's going on back there.
Yeah, we do keep an eye on it, and you're right, there are cameras and stuff there, so we definitely want to make sure that when people are donating, that it's getting to where they're wanting to donate, which is the homeless animals that we serve every day.
Always have good specials too. You walk in, you're going to know what's on sale.
Yes, and they run some really amazing weekend specials. So recently they started a new punch card system. So for every time you're there and you spend $10, you get a paw print. And when you spend, you're on your 10th one, so the 11th one, you actually will get 25% off your total purchase.
That's pretty cool. I saw that in the door. Is that your idea, brainchild of the manager?
No, I am giving all the credit on that to Tammy.
Yep.
So it's an amazing staff and volunteers over there. But that's something that we need always at our thrift shop. And of course at the shelter also, is volunteers. Because we, of course, being a nonprofit and working strictly off donations, fundraisers, we can't hire as many people as what it would take, so we need our volunteers. So if you'd like to help, and help make a difference in these animals' lives by volunteering your time, stop in over there at the Doghouse Thrift Shop, talk to Tammy, get an application, and she could sure use you there. And if you'd rather come over to where the animals are, we can use you there.
So you're the manager at the shelter.
Yes.
Want to drop some names, some people you want to thank?
As everybody.
Yeah, put you on the spot, employees.
I would like to thank my entire staff.
That was safe. I like how you did that.
I could not run that shelter without them. I'm very appreciative of everything that they do and how they treat the animals, and I just want each and every one of them to know that I do appreciate them.
And the reason I bring that up, I have a little bit more contact with the Doghouse Thrift Store than I do the shelter. Rebecca, every time I'm there, I interviewed her once on the radio for something. She's one of those people that, she came out as the van stopped when I was making donations.
Yeah.
She's good people.
Yeah, and that's some of the best things that we can ever do for these animals and be in their voice is by giving good customer service.
Right.
At our thrift shop and at Debbie's end of things is to know, people tell us all the time, what great customer service at the thrift shop, and also that they can tell how loved our animals are. And that's huge, that the animals really and truly do know that they're loved.
Absolutely. And you can pick up on that when you walk in and the people are smiling right off the bat and ask you if you need something. And they always know where everything is. I mean, they move things, but they know where it is.
They do know where it is. And that's amazing with all the stuff that's in our thrift shop, isn't it, to know where everything is.
Pretty cool. Hey, when we come back, we're going to talk about the website. We're going to do a little recap that talks about the events. It is Paw Prints on the Mountain. We'll be back. Welcome back to Paw Prints on the Mountain. We're visiting with Debbie, the shelter manager. And
Hi.
Hello. And Dina Pace. And of course, Lucy.
Lucy's not doing a lot of visiting, is she?
No, she opened her eyes. She heard her name.
She did?
Relax. One of the things we want to talk about, we want to do a little recap and touch on some of the events that we've got coming up. And then we also want to make sure we mention the website, and we've got a way that the viewers and listeners can get involved by sending us a question. So right off the bat, let's do a recap and talk about some of the events coming up.
Yeah. So our next closest event is on May 5th. It's over at Pet Sense. It's an adopt-a-thon.
Is that where multiple agencies get together?
It is. So we'll be there. Round Valley Animal Rescue will be there. Pet Allies will be there. A lot of times, and I haven't got confirmation yet, Pace and Humane Society comes up and joins us. Sometimes the Pug Rescue comes and joins us. So yeah, there'll be more than just us there, and that's Saturday, May 5th, Cinco de Mayo. And so it's from 9 to 3, I believe.
From the parking lot of Pet Sense.
Yes.
Okay. Different agencies, different animals you may not have seen.
Exactly.
And in return, you'll go back down and do some of those at some of their locations.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's May 5th.
May 5th from 9 to 3, I believe.
Okay. We also like to talk about Happy Tales. That's the largest event you have.
Yes, it is. Happy Tales
That was
is...
like a twitch.
It's not
You
a
sure you're
twitch.
ready for
I think
it?
I have a dog hair in my eye.
Imagine that.
It is actually our biggest fundraiser of the year. That's August 25th at Charlie Clark's in the Orchards from 11 to 5. And that is just a really good time. We actually have people come from out of state every year. I mean, the minute it's over, they're calling us. It's always on a Saturday. And by the next business day, they're calling going, when's the next Happy Tales? And it's
We've
like,
already had people calling.
yeah, well, and by the next week, we've already reserved for the next year's Happy Tales now so that we can tell people when it is. So.
White Mountain Radio always does a live broadcast there.
Yes.
And I, for different reasons, scheduling, hadn't been, but this last year I went, and it's fun. It turns into like a party.
It is a party. There's adoptions going on. There's live auction. There's barbecue. There's silent auction items. There's raffle baskets. There's blitz auctions, and there's just always a really good time. And the llama rescue always comes.
Very cool.
They're the one group that joins us is the llama rescue.
And you got a really good auctioneer.
Mark Sterling. He is awesome. Him and Michelle Carter have always, from High Five Designs, they have always run the live auction. They were the co-sponsors, and actually I think they're the ones that might have been the original Happy Tails people.
I
And
believe they started it.
yeah, I think so. And this is, I think, our 13th annual. And they've taken over just doing the live auction and, of course, helping us with printing and all that. But I have myself and 2 co-chairs, which is Sally Huntsman and Terry Bankert, who are co-chairing Happy Tails, who will be doing all this stuff for us. And, of course, all our volunteers that we're going to be
Have you
seeing.
gotten the information for Happy Tails up on the website? Because the website's a lot of information. It's adoptions, it's your wish list.
It is. It is a lot of information, and I believe that it is on there. If not, we'll double check it. I think we might need to update that again. We're much better at keeping our, because Facebook's quicker for us to go
Right.
into. Poor Debbie, I throw the website onto her too. I'm just not a web person.
Well, the social media, there's so much stuff. There could be an animal coming in, there could be a need for a foster. The social media
Yes.
end of it's really good.
Yes, absolutely. So our website is hswm.org. So please go on there, check things out. And of course, our Facebook is Humane Society of the White Mountains. And there'll be so much more information coming out about Happy Tails. We are already starting on it. So
hswm.org.
yes,
There's a tab for the Doghouse Thrift. There's a tab for adoptions. It's all right on.
there is. There's also the Paws Clinic,
Pet of the week.
Pet of the Week,
Hey.
our Legacy program. There's and our business supporters
Yep.
who help support us here, the local businesses.
One of the things that we want to do as this show progresses and moves on is get more interaction from the listeners. And we started that on the radio version of this the other day.
Yes.
And we asked them if they had any questions they'd like answered on the TV show. They could send us a question.
Yes.
And we had a question come in from Nita. And Nita says, how do you stop your dogs from running? I've had 2 over the last couple of years and 1 that has never came back. So what would you give advice on somebody when they're trying to figure out how their dogs are running and why?
You know what? I think that's a great question, but I think I'm going to let Debbie answer that.
No pressure, Debbie.
So a lot of times, if it's a male or female dog, they'll try to get out to go,
Yeah.
Make friends.
yeah,
fri-
have
Hey!
friends, get friends.
a nice way
So
to
a
say
lot
it.
of times, if you spay or neuter them, that helps from them wanting to roam. Also, if you're crate training them, that way when you're gone, they'll go in a crate. I mean, obviously, if you're gone for 8 hours or more a day, you don't want to leave them in a crate for that long.
My niece does that, but she only works 3 or 4 hours a shift.
Right. So a lot of times, and how that works is, you let them out, go to the bathroom, they go back in their crate when you leave, and then when you get back home, you let them out immediately to go to the bathroom again. So it's like their little safety zone, like their bed. So they're not going to want to go to the bathroom in it. Also, they have where you can run a wire on the top of your chain link fence and then put a PVC pipe over that wire. So if they try to get over that, they're going to hit it, and then the PVC is just going to roll. So they're not going to be able to get over it.
Pretty smart. A friend of mine told me one of the reasons, because I mentioned this to them before is if you move, that's new sniffs. They've got to get out there and check it out.
Yeah.
Yes, and a lot of times if they do get out, they're trying to go back to where they came from.
Okay.
So, I mean, there's just a lot of different reasons. Also, like we have at the shelter, we have the no jump kennels. So we have 6-foot fence, and then at the top it leans in. So if they get to the top, they're gonna fall back.
Okay.
And we did that so that if we have fence climbers and stuff like that, they can still go outside and play in our exercise yards.
Nita, I hope that answers your question. If you guys want your question answered, send me an email, tommyboy219@gmail.com. This has been Paw Prints on the Mountain from the Humane Society of the White Mountains. Dina and Debbie, thanks for being here.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Tommy.
You bet.